Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny, and today we are going to take a garden tour. We are going to go through the patio beds all around this space because I want to give you an update on how everything is doing. This space has dramatically changed in the last year. It is gorgeous, it is stunning. I'm not gonna lie that sometimes I walk through and I can't believe this is my garden. And you have been on this journey with us since we began this whole massive project of building our patio and all of the surrounding flower beds. So I'm excited to share with you how everything is doing. Remember, we are in North Carolina, a zone 7B. We are in the Piedmont of North Carolina, just kind of west of Charlotte, to kind of give you an idea of where we are located. Of course, this is mid-May, so mid-May in North Carolina. The trees are completely flushed out. It is green everywhere. We've got flowers blooming galore. So this is gonna be lots of fun. And I will go ahead and link in the video description past videos that we have done. So if, for example, you wanna know how we did the pathway, I'll have that linked when we're creating beds, so forth and so on. So make sure you check out that video description for different links. Now, here we go. So we're gonna kind of start as we go down the path. I'm gonna kind of go back and forth each way. This is what we call the Gatsby Gal Bed because it has a Gatsby Gal hydrangea in it. Hence, this is why we call it that. This flower bed is full sun. The sun comes up over my right and goes down over my left. So we are filming this about 7:30 at night, and so the sun is beginning to set and it's nice and cool and it makes for pretty pictures and pretty videos. Full sun. On this side we call it the forest pansy bed because it has this beautiful forest pansy redbud tree in it. Clearly underneath the tree is very shady. This section does get morning sun and then afternoon shade, but the back side when we get over there will be considered full sun because it does get the setting sun and hot, intense afternoon sun. Over here, this bed is coming to life and it has just kind of woken up wonderfully well. We have got a huge mix of perennials in here with a little bit of annuals. What is blooming right now? So we have the penstemon is blooming. Remember, this is a first year. So right now I'm just like, hey, those little blooms are doing great. Huge pollinator attractor. We have the blueberry Sunday Baptisia that is blooming. And look at that Baptisia, so pretty. We do have another one on the other end of the bed. So as I go through the bed, I try to have plants repeated in here. One of the little solos is this Sweet Romance lavender though. Remember, we have had some trouble growing lavender because our soil is so thick and just really clay and it retains moisture really well. This is my one last attempt at the Sweet Romance. I put it in this container and I put it in really well draining soil. So I use potting soil that drains really well. Clearly it's doing really happy right now. So we'll see how it goes out through the rest of the summer. I've got 3 Daisy May Shasta daisies right here that are just about to absolutely explode in color. And you can see that this Scentlandia is intermingling with the Shasta daisy, which I personally love. I love how they're coming together. Everybody is being very good neighbors and just blending well together. I do have 3 of the Scentlandias. I've got a honeybee on one right now. They are in all their glory right now with these beautiful kind of finger-like blooms on them. Nice, sweet smell. Another great thing about this shrub is that in the fall, it is going to be like this burgundy red color. It is going to give me gorgeous fall color. I may need to trim this up a little bit. The time to do that is once these blooms are done because it does bloom on old growth. If I need to shape it up a little bit, once the blooms are done, I will take the time to do it then. The perennial grasses are doing really well, as is the Paint the Town Magenta Dianthus. So if you remember, I had the garden phlox in here It is finishing up. It is almost all done. Well, there's just a couple of little old blooms on it. Gave me beautiful early spring color, and now Paint the Town Magenta is popping up. And I'll tell you, you know, I don't know about your mama, but my mama is really honest with me. And we were over here gardening the other day, and she was like, Jenny, I just don't know. I don't know if the magenta, it just is a little sharp and harsh to me. And I was like, well, you know, Mom, that's okay. You know, and she was like, but I hate to tell you what to do in your garden. I was like, Mama, you're not telling me what to do in my garden. You're just giving me your opinion. I'll sit on it. If I like it, great, it'll stay. And if not, you know what, we'll move it. I personally like this nice big bold pop of color. That's just kind of how I garden. And as this has now, the phlox doesn't have the blooms anymore, and this is starting to come in, it's really a nice contrast. I can understand if they were all blooming at the same time, it might be kind of a color clash, but right now I love it, so it stays. The alliums are getting ready to bloom. The serendipity allium basically is just a really fancy onion. They're in the onion family. Alliums are onions, but look at all those little buds that are forming. They're putting their little heads are turned down now. As they develop their blooms, they will pop up and have these nice big lavender blooms on them. Again, huge pollinator attractor. They will love it for sure. I'm gonna tiptoe through here because this is the Gatsby Gal hydrangea, oak leaf hydrangea that will take full sun. I know that kind of seems like it's contradictory, but this one can handle it, and it is on irrigation. But y'all, there's probably, I don't know, close to 15 or 20 blooms on this thing. We have got lots of blooms, lots of new growth, very happy here. So I'm so excited. And of course, the oak leaf hydrangeas, again, give us nice, great fall color. So I tried to plant this bed for 4 seasons of color. The Cleome is an annual. Nice little pocket of pops of color. As the season goes, they will just get taller and continue to bloom. This is the Senorita Blanca, so nice pure white blooms on that. And moving on down here, these are all Limelight Prime hydrangeas. I've got a nice little hedge on the back side of the bed with them. And then the not ultraviolet, this is opalescence. This is opalescence phlox. Through here I have 5 of them that curve. This is a paniculata phlox, so it'll get nice and tall, beautiful cone shapes on them. But look at that nice foliage, really nice. And you'll notice that we spread them apart, so that way they have good air circulation, and they are more resistant to the powdery mildew. And then the cat's, what is this? Cat's pajamas. I was trying to think, I was like, it's Nepeta. Cat's pajamas, Nepeta, catmint. Nice, beautiful blooms on it. It is, and here's my little honeybee down here. We're getting kind of close to the end of this first flush of blooms. So what I will do is once it is finished blooming and all the blooms are gone, I can come in here and give it a nice little haircut, and it will flush back out with more blooms. Nice, sweet smell to it. Again, honeybees over here between the Scentlandia and the cat's pajamas. They just love all of these beds. Really, really fun. And then I'm gonna tiptoe through here. We're gonna move over here just for a second to the shade garden. My mama and I have been working on this shade garden for so many years. This tree, we remember that we got this tree when I was pregnant with Jackson. Jackson just turned 12, so that gives you an idea of we have been working on this bed in some fashion for at least 12 years. As the tree has gotten bigger, I've gotten more shade, and so I have developed the gardens more and more and more. I love this space. It is so calm and peaceful and happy. Basically in here is kind of, there is rhyme or reason in here, but basically it's just lots of hostas, ferns, there's brunneras, there's different kinds of grasses. I've got euphorbias. This does get some morning sun, and everything is doing really well, like the superbells, the calibrachoas rather, are doing really well here. I have noticed with this tree that on the outer rims, it does kind of start to come down some. So if I need to get more light in here, I can go in and selectively trim some of these leaves. But it's just full of wonderful little things. Like this is a pugster white butterfly bush. It's doing great. I've got a sweet little balloon flower that I've never grown before, so I'm super excited about that. This cute little oak leaf hydrangea is called Munchkin, and Munchkin, again, oak leaf hydrangea here, oak leaf hydrangea over there, is a nice little tiny petite one, and it was developed, I think, by the U.S. Arboretum. So this is not a branded plant, but if you find a Munchkin somewhere, grab it. 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. You can see it's got a beautiful bloom on it. When we were planting it, I accidentally hit it and I broke it, the top out of it, and I was like, oh no. And my mom, you know, she's always the optimist, and she was like, Jenny, don't worry about it, it's fine, it'll branch out. And sure enough, so where I snapped it, I now have these 2 limbs coming up. So, you know, if you do take a little bit of a top out of it, it's okay. It may set it back a little bit, but in the long run, it'll fill it in. We've got astilbes in here. I went ahead and popped some colors with the Surefire begonias. Just lots of fun things. So as I find fun, unique, shade-loving perennials, or even some sun-loving perennials, this is kind of the go-to bed where I put it. I do have the Let's Dance Blue Jangles hydrangea. There's 3 in here, all throughout here. This is just my fun kind of menagerie. There's Lenten roses, there's beautiful hostas, I've got Big Daddy, I've got Summon Substance, I've got eucharas, I've got farfugia in there. Just lots of fun, really neat. I've got peonies, maybe that you can see with those white blooms in the far back. We'll look at that when we go around to the other side. That's the more sun-loving side of the flower bed. So as this bed develops, as the tree gets bigger, I trim a little bit on the tree and I move some things around. Very happy. Everybody's super happy right here, and I am a super happy gardener because it is just turning into quite a beautiful, serene space that I absolutely love. And because I have been doing it with my mama, of course it holds lots of special memories that way. Now, we can't get too much further into this garden tour without addressing the beautiful elephant in the room. This is the Generous Gardener Climbing Rose from David Alston. There are 2. There's 1 on each side. And I will tell you, we're actually getting towards the end of this beautiful bloom cycle. I have been documenting this with tons of pictures, but as you can see, and we have gotten rain over today and like last weekend, so that kind of helped these blooms petals fall off a little bit faster. But if you look at the ground, we have a whole just an assortment of rose petals. I tell you, somebody needs to get married and I can just like throw petals at them. But this Generous Gardener is only in its 2nd year. We planted, I don't even know if this time last year it was even in the ground. Because we didn't have this space developed yet, I'd have to go back and look, but I did have them in pots. So when they arrived as bare roots, I went ahead and stuck them in pots and was growing them in like a 3-gallon container until this space was available. But the Generous Gardener is a very healthy, clearly plant. It is it comes, when it first starts, hopefully the lighting will show you this. It starts out as a nice, kind of a baby doll pink right here, and as the blooms age, they almost turn a white. So it's a very soft color, which is what I wanted in this rose, but it smells amazing. And when Mom and I were working here last week, it was really quite warm and the sun was out, and you could just smell it, and it was the most glorious, wonderful smell. And every time I come by, I can't help but stick my nose in there, and I have been cutting them and having them in the house. Wonderful. And we have 2 birds' nests in here. We've got 1 here and we've got 1 here. So even the little birds are loving this rose because it's a nice, safe home for them. So the generous gardener is doing really well. As it finishes its bloom, I will come in here and do a little bit of pruning. I will tie some things up, like this needs to be tied up. So I will do that. Just a little bit of maintenance on it, but there you go. Now, moving on through the trellis, we come into the really sun area. We'll start over here. This is the guara that we had last year in this bed. This guara is sold by Proven Winners and even as us here at the nursery as an annual, but it will actually be a perennial for us. This was the, I'm trying to remember which one, if this was the Camellias, no. We'll put it on the screen which one it is. I can't remember exactly which one this one is. It's not the Camellias, there's another one. But it is a beautiful perennial for us. And then of course you were with me when I planted the Rockin' Playin' the Blues salvia. Clearly it is a very happy plant. And then behind that we have more David's Austins. So the first one that Jerry is showing you, that is the Roald Dahl. Beautiful, of course he is the children's book author known for James and the Giant Peach, because it is a beautiful peachy color. And then in the middle, we have Susan Williams Ellis, which is a beautiful pure white. Found this out that she was an artist who did pottery that was inspired by nature with lots of flowers. So that is really fun. And then the last collection over here, we have the Poet's Wife. And the Poet's Wife is a beautiful yellow. Kind of reminds me of the Generous Gardener in the fact of the new buds are a deeper yellow, and as they mature, they almost turn white. A delicious, lovely fragrance to them. So those are doing really well. And coming in here, because y'all have asked me about this a couple of times, these two hydrangeas we planted last year, these are the new Little Lime Punches. We got them last year really kind of in the middle of the summer. So I was just kind of happy that we kept them alive. I got one bloom out of all of them, and it was just a so-so. I tell you, you need a year to have really trial your plants. These are very happy plants right here, so I can't wait to see how they bloom and to see if they do turn that beautiful red color. I will let you know. Right now, clearly, they're very happy. The maple tree is also doing very well, the Japanese maple. So this was the Fire Glow maple. Just happy, just hanging out, living life, doing its thing. Yeah, so everybody's happy. This is one of those containers that I use, that white salvia and the ombre pink calibrachoas. Yeah, I got the alyssum down, very happy. It does love the water. You were with me when we planted this. This is Blushing Princess. It's doing great, it's hanging out. Probably needs to have a little fertilizer because I haven't fertilized these annuals yet. So it's about that time that I need to begin that regimen on them. But we've had all this rain and they're doing really well. So we're gonna hang out with those for a while. And then as we come around back to the forest pansy bed, this is definitely a sun section. The sun sets right behind me, and so this gets intense, hot afternoon sun for multiple hours. I've got, this is my, the Sugar Shack button bush. This was a new plant in this flower bed because I did have a gardenia that I was trialing from someone, and it did not like that spot. It tends to be a damp spot. The button bush Sugar Shack can do sun or shade. It loves it nice and damp. So this should be the perfect spot for it. Right behind that, I have my Edgeworthia. So we've got a beautiful Edgeworthia in here that will give us lots of great fragrance in the wintertime, late winter, early spring. So doing really well. And then you know, one of my absolute favorite perennials is the Ascot Rainbow Euphorbia. It is a fun perennial. It is mostly for foliage. It did just finish blooming not that too long ago. I cut the blooms off. Now it will get nice and full and give me that bright pop of color here. Got some evergreen candy tuft right here. Lots of fun. And then this area got a little frog in here with me, has really developed. This is, one of them's yin and one of them's yang. I don't remember who is who because I didn't mark them when I planted them. I should have, and I didn't. So these are the evergreen viburnums from Proven Winners. These two were sent to us as trials. They love this spot. They are the easiest plant ever. Bugs do not like them, but look how lush and full and what a beautiful plant this is. Gorgeous. And because you have yin and yang, one's the male, one's the female, they'll cross-pollinate and you can get little small blue berries on them. So they are doing wonderful. And then this is a little quickfire. And little quickfire already has buds all over her. So little quickfire, I think her measurements were like, I don't remember the measurements on the little quickfire, but she's a happy girl, let me tell you. She is vigorous, and she is a panicle hydrangea who loves the sun. She has been pruned every year, so my stems are nice and sturdy, but this thing is going to be spectacular when it is blooming because on almost every single tip, there is a flower bud. I cannot wait to see this area in bloom. And speaking of being in bloom, let's see, Jerry, can you see, like right here, like this one's got multiples. Can you see that? And it's not the only one. If you can find the right plants and you put them in the right spot, it makes gardening so much easier and so much fun. Because you just sit back and watch them do their thing, you give them, meet their needs, and man, they're glorious. Now, this one is the White Chiffon Rose of Sharon. Again, will get nice and big. It can get like 8 to 10 feet tall, which is fine. It has room to do that. I did prune it every year because it blooms on new growth. It too is covered in buds. They've just started to form. They're little tiny bud swells in there, but they will bloom this beautiful kind of a double white bloom. And this thing, once it starts blooming, it just goes and goes and goes. But see right here, I don't know if you can zoom in on that, but if you look, all of these up this stem, those little bud swells are going to be flowers. I mean, and the plant is covered in them. So very happy indeed. Just a beautiful plant. I will share with you this pot. If you watched any of our nursery tours early in the spring season, I told you that I loved these Bright Lights osteospermums from Proven Winners, and I said these would be gorgeous paired together. Of course, I made a pot, and look at them. They are great. I love this color combination. We will see how long they go, but right now they're very happy, and I just water them. They had the slow release fertilizer in there. I water them. I have not done the water soluble fertilizer yet on them. They're happy. Why would I? And I probably shouldn't tell you that, but I mean that's the truth, right? So all I have done is just water them because it's not on irrigation, so I just hit it with the hose, and there we go. We'll go this way, and then we'll kind of swing around and do a circle because there's a lot of fun stuff behind Jerry. But this section is kind of a work in progress because I'm in the process of 1, weeding. I still have weeds in here, and 2, planting annuals. So I just kind of sunk the pots in here right now. I'm keeping them watered, but this is where we have some more of those David Austins that we had to move around. I should have looked. I do not remember. I guess I'll have to put it on the screen. I cannot remember which rose this is. I do have my little name tags, my little copper name tags that I'm going to write and put them like little plant stakes, so that way this won't happen again. This plant is a 2nd-year plant, but we had to move it. It had been over there and it got moved. So while it is a nice size, if it had been left in the ground for the whole time and not been moved, it would have been bigger. But the blooms are absolutely beautiful and nice, deep, full bloom on them, nice, beautiful pink colors on that, and is doing great. I'm also in the process through, like I told you, coming through here, and as I'm moving through the bed, I'm trimming things. So this is the Sprinter boxwoods. They need to be pruned. This one does. It's the last one. I've pruned the other ones. And then this is, I want to say the Olivia Rose Austin. Again, y'all, I apologize. It's been a day. But look at her. Regardless of what her name is, she's stunning. And this is a first-year plant. So she came to us as a bare root, and we put her here. So she is with those nice dark, this is my darkest pink rose in the whole garden. I put her here in the center and had the two lighter color roses on each side, but she's my darkest and she should be my tallest. So it'll make a nice statement. In 3 years, this is going to be stunning. So doing really well. And then I do know this. This is Scepter d'Isle. Scepter d'Isle, she is, again, a second-year plant. She was here last year, so you can see that she has not been disturbed since I planted her as a bare root 1 year ago, and doing really well. I love the color of this rose. It is the most perfect shade of pink. It's not my most favorite fragrance, but she's beautiful, and I'm very happy, and she's very happy, so we're all happy together. Moving on down, we've got the Camellias. My annuals that I'm putting in here, I'm using the Mini Vista White, Super Tunia Mini Vista White. We've talked about that before, where I used it in the baskets and in the landscape. So we've got Mini Vista White, and then we have the Sun Patience, the white, the compact white. So they will get nice and full. So my idea is I've got the Sprinter Boxwoods, I've got the white Shishi Camellias that go through here. My Sun Patience at the end of the season will be this tall and fill in this entire gap. So they'll be nice and tall. My Mini Vistas will be nice and full and just kind of kissing the wall. I don't want this overly planted. I probably overdid it last year, so we're keeping it simple this year. The succulents are doing great. Look at those sweet little hidden chicks right there. Very, very fun. And then here we have the roses again. This is Emily Bronte, and we have had a good bit of rain again, and I've learned this from last year, is once they've had their spring flush of blooms, I'm going to prune it back a little bit. So this stem is too heavy to hold up, so it needs to be pruned back. Roses bloom on new growth, so even if you do a light pruning, they will flush out again and bloom. I'm trying to think about the whole integrity structure of the plant long term, so I need to trim that back some. And then Desdemona is doing really well. Desdemona got moved, so she's a little stunted in growth. Beautiful color and delicious fragrance. The Diamond Snow Euphorbia is doing well, as are the Osteos. These are the Bright Lights. This is new for next year, Sunset Horizon. And I always get asked what this is. This too is a Rose of Sharon. It is a standard where I have the white on one corner. This is the blue. So this is blue chiffon, Rose of Sharon in the standard form. She too, a little bit of buds, not quite as many as the white. We're gonna go down this way. Jerry's directing me as we go. So we're gonna come down and then right back around. We have had this kind of front come through, so we've had, it was really tough on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, so it kind of acts like a hurricane, so we'll have rain, then we'll have sun, but we get beautiful skies. So here we go. These are in the very back, the Incredible hydrangeas that are covered in buds, absolutely covered in buds. Then on the second row, of course, we have the Double Play Doozy Spireas that are flushing out, really starting to bloom right now with that beautiful kind of that raspberry colored bloom on them. And then of course the Super Tunia Mini Vista white hanging baskets that I planted in the ground, was that a week, 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago? And they are doing really, really well. With the Incredible hydrangeas, we spaced them so that, I want you to come up here and see all these buds, Jerry, because they are just covered. But we spaced these Incredibles so that when they're at mature size, they will just kiss each other. So this will become a hedge. Now, you'll notice that these two are like beautiful and huge, and then this poor thing right here is a lot smaller. You can thank Brenna for that one, because this winter when she was still learning how to behave in flower beds, she took out half the plant. It's all right, it'll bounce back. But look at all of these buds on this plant. Incrediballs are an improved version of an Annabelle. Classic, huge, pure white mop head blooms. So imagine all of these as massive white hydrangea blooms. It's going to be spectacular. So these are doing really, really well. All right, so right here we have a 9 bark, and my mama gave me this 9 bark years ago, and it has been moved all over creation. So to have it look like this right now with its beautiful foliage is so rewarding, because this is one tough plant that has been put through the ringer in the gardener's world. I tell you, it has, yeah. So to have it look like this right now is wonderfully amazing. It has just finished blooming, but it has that beautiful color, and it will give me gorgeous color all season long, and especially in the fall. Now, let's mosey up right here right quick, because we're going to wrap around again. And let's do an update on the urns. So you've been with me as we have planted. These are the Weston urns from Unique Stone. I love these. Of course, we were able to run the drip to them, so they are on the drip irrigation. This year, we did the purple fountain grass in the middle. So purple fountain grass, which has really gotten lots of beautiful color. If you have a grass that is supposed to be a color and it's more green, it probably needs more sun. So they get this nice dark color from the UV light. So it is doing well. And then I surrounded it with those trial plants. Again, so this is the Sunset, Horizon Sunset, Osteo from Proven Winners. And I will tell you, as soon as I planted these, we hit temperatures in the 90s. And these guys, they don't like the heat. And I knew that, and that's kind of how I have planned this, that when the heat really hits, that they'll come out. But when I planted them, they were full of blooms and gorgeous. And then that heat hit, and this bakes. It is hot here. They stopped blooming. I mean, completely stopped blooming. Beautiful foliage on them, nice and green. They never wilted. That wasn't the issue. It was just too hot. They are starting to come back. We are having cooler temperatures, more normal temperatures. So we're coming back, and we've got buds all over them. So that was the thing with these African daisies, is that they don't like the heat, and they're great for early spring and fall crops here in, remember, we're North Carolina. It's hot and humid. So this is why we're trialing them and seeing what they do. So certainly did not like the heat. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about these Mangaves. If you remember the last video we did, we were with Kata from Walter's Gardens, and these are the beautiful Mangaves. Let me get out of the way. Mangaves are relatively new on the market. They are a cross between a Manfreda and an agave. So they are these gorgeous succulents with beautiful colors that come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They're much more forgiving than an agave plant. So that means you can water them a little bit more. You can pair them with other plants, like you can do a mixed container with them. So after we did that video, we planted up this one in the video with Kata, and then I went ahead and moved everybody else up. I went ahead and did 2 more white containers, because these white containers will be at the nursery for display only. So they will be able, so that way you can see them up close and touch them and figure out, you know, what they're all about. And then the 4 that are in the black pots, these are what, 7 gallons, Jerry? They're 7 gallons. Mama and I moved them up to these 7 gallons. And then in the flower beds behind me, we went ahead and took more 7-gallon pots and dug them and buried them into the ground. So what we will do is take these Mangaves and slide them. I think you can probably see some of those black pots. We will slide them down in there so it looks like they're planted in the landscape. And of course, what I'm waiting on is for us to finish these beds. So when it's mulched, you won't see that black pot. It'll look like these have been planted directly in there. Will give me a nice interest, different look all summer season. Then in the fall, when it starts to get cold, I can easily slide them out of that pot and either put them in the garage or in the house somewhere. But they are starting to really get that color because they've been sitting out here for 2 days now. Lots of fun color coming in. This is called Racing Stripes. And when Kata was here, it was basically like a solid green. It is starting to show its color where it has a lighter center and the darker edges. And this is, I believe, is new. So more UV light, the more color they get, more beautiful they are. So the sun is quickly setting on us, but I hope you have enjoyed this garden tour. It is just such a fun space to watch grow and develop and to add to and to kind of have that overall dream, and then to see it come to fruition at some part, right? There were always dreaming, but it has been so much fun. Of course, we will keep you updated on these spaces, and as things start to bloom, we'll bring you back and so forth. But yeah, I know that y'all who have been with us for a while now are very invested in this space because you have been with us every single step of the way, and each part of this holds so many memories, and so it's so much fun. But yeah, we're thoroughly enjoying this space as a family, and I hope you have enjoyed this garden tour. As always, thank you so much. We appreciate all your love and support. Y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.